Hi everyone, hope you like the tutorial part 1 and part 2 and you are going to join with me for the part 3 today. And so today I am going to start our time trial game mode, and today we will be preparing our project for the game mode, and we will be making a checkpoint system that will detect our vehicle is past the checkpoint in a right way. So this is what I am going to do. Let's jump to the tutorial today. Now I have opened the Unreal Project browser, and in games category I am going to select the vehicle template, and you can see that the vehicle pack features both a regular vehicle and a more complex vehicle. Vehicle movement can be controlled, and there is a small description about this template. So I am going to open up this template as a new project. I'll show you why I am going to do this. So I'm going to select this project defaults are blueprint. We cannot choose C++ because it's developed with blueprints, and there's this quality preset is maximum desktop. I'm not going to include the starter content and ray tracing. I'm going to rename this as vehicle template, and then the project location is fine. I'm going to create a new project using this template, and you can see that the Unreal Engine editor is now loading. Great. Now we have this vehicle example project and vehicle example map in the project. If you play this one, you can see that this is the project and there is this sample map. So I'm going to use this sample map for the game, for game mode testing of our time trial game mode, as I mentioned in the early video. So you can see that there is this sample map, and you can see that we can test some features such as suspension and jumping, and there are some physics assets to be collide with. You can see the impact when we are colliding, right? And yes, you can see that we can extract some of the car features from this template as well. We will go through about that later on. You can see that I'm going to show you something, right? If you carefully see that there's this little problem with chaos vehicles. When you are in the air, your wheels are not rotating. You will see that. Look at the front wheels. Yes, and also the rear wheels. It has some uh, engine affection, but it gradually slows down and gets a zero speed when in the air. So I don't know how to fix that, and I have seen that some developers has posted this in Unreal Engine forums as well, that this is a problem with chaos vehicle system. But let's assume that Epic developers will fix this in upcoming updates of chaos vehicle physics. Right, let's stop the simulation by hitting escape key, and there is this content browser or the content drawer. We have this content folder, and there is this level prototyping, right? And there are these materials for level prototyping and measures for the prototyping, grid texture, and there's this track mesh, right? Let's see project settings, and there is this maps and modes, and you can see this vehicle example map. If we browse this, you can see that in vehicle template you have this maps folder. Right. Maps folder. Right. And now I can open up my Skulls and Wheels original project. Now we are in our original project, and now I'm going to add vehicle template into our project. So you can do this by the way of, now I'm going to show you. You can click on this add button, and there is this add feature or content pack option. I'm going to click it, and you can see that add content to the project window gets up, and this is similar to the Unreal Engine project browser. Now I'm going to select this vehicle sample and click on add to project. Now it's importing all the assets, and now we have our vehicle sample here. You can lock the content browser and close this window, and you can see that our vehicle blueprints are here, but there is this level prototyping folder and the track folder, vehicles folder, and the vehicle template folder. Now I don't want this vehicles folder, so I'm going to delete it. Right, and it says assets reference in the pending deleted. Okay, force delete. I'm not going to use the car and stuff. It takes a while to delete the assets. Right, and then I'm going to maps, and there is this vehicle example map. I'm going to drag and drop in this maps folder and select move here. Right, and then I'm going to delete this map also. Now I don't want any vehicle blueprints at the moment, so to keep the project clean, I'm going to delete this vehicle template and vehicles folder as well. Select the both and delete. Force delete. Right. Still you can see that vehicles folder is here. If a project folder is not deleting itself, we can do it manually. I'll show you it in a moment. And now I'm going to the track, and I'm going to add this to the measures folder. Move here. Right, it's get that, and now I'm going to create a new folder and call this as additional, and I'm going to move the track here. And there is this level prototype folder as well. I'm going to move it to the additional folder as well. Right, now we have these maps, blueprints, measures, and vehicles. The vehicles folder is the additional one. Just right click and click on this show in Explorer, and it finds the folder on the disk, and this directs to the content folder, and you can select the vehicles folder and manually delete it. And now if you go to the project, you can see that the vehicles folder is no longer in here. Now we can save. Go to maps, double click on the vehicle example map, and select continue save selected, and now you can see we have this map from the vehicle sample or the vehicle template. I'm going to delete the vehicle template text and save. Right, and I don't want this default map. I'm going to delete those as well. Just to be sure, I'm going to project settings, and there is this maps and modes. You can see that there is this editor map and editor startup map and game default map. I am selecting the vehicle example map for this maps and close. Now when the editor starts up, we get this vehicle example map, and now I can go to collections, I think the collections that we have saved in the previous video is not available, is not saved. Right. We are going to add vehicle BPs, new collection, go to the blueprints folder and right click cover Dustbowler blueprint and set it to vehicle BPs folder. Now I'm going to collection and then I'll just drag and drop the vehicle here and let's just rotate it by 90 degrees. Close the content browser and if you play you can see that we can play in our right. Physics are not great in our car because we haven't set those things properly, but this will work for what is this? Okay, there's this something. Okay, I'm going to delete that as well. Right. Now we have a map to work with. So I'm going to use this map for the game mode and we are going to create the game mode and the blueprint actors to be used in any map later on. So that is simply means we are going to create blueprints that are reusable for any map. So we can use this map as our gym map. So gym map is a temporary map that is used to test our game mechanics and stuff. This is literally not a gym map but a kind of gym map. Let's see. Now I'm going to stop the simulation and now my folders are in good hands. We have now our collection, save all. Right. Now I'm going to dock this and we are going to create our game modes and stuff. To do that, in content folder, I'm going to create a new folder called core. The core folder will have all the blueprints and game modes and stuff that basically your game will be needed to play for the player. Right. To make the game mode or the time trial game mode, I'm going to just straightforwardly copy the tutorial series called Blueprint Time Attack Racer from Unreal Engine. It's an old tutorial series, but this will work for the base of the game mode. I'm going to straightforward copy the tutorial itself and then I'm going to change the necessary parts that I need to have in my game mode. So I have included this tutorial link in my description and you can follow that as well if you want to create a time attack racing game mode. So for an overview, this game mode has this modular checkpoint system and it respawns player if they get flipped and checkpoint entering with flipping or rolling in the right direction and don't allow players to bypass checkpoint or interact them from the wrong direction and it keep individual lap times. Checkpoints get spawned when the player passes one checkpoint and there is this countdown when the race starts. So these are the features that the tutorial gives us. In core folder, I'm creating a new folder called game modes and there will be this new folder called time trial time trial, right? And then we are going to create some blueprint classes in here. I'm going to expand this and let's create some blueprints. The first one will be a actor and the prefix will be BPA, that refers to blueprint actor, and this is for the checkpoint. And then the second blueprint class will be a actor also, and this will be our tracker, or we can use it checkpoint tracker. The third one will be a player controller. You can see that there is this player controller, and if you don't have any idea of what are these classes, these are like templates as we see in the Unreal Engine project browser. Player controller allows these things. A player controller is an actor responsible for controlling a pawn used by a player, and if you don't know about the actor word, an actor is an object that can be placed or spawned in the world. So that's the actor. So we have created two actors at the moment. So blueprint actor checkpoint. So it will be a checkpoint blueprint that can be placed in the world. And there is this checkpoint tracker. This is also an actor or an object that can be placed in the world, like that. Now I'm going to create a player controller, and this will be BPPC, that refers to blueprint player controller, or we just can use player controller as well, player controller. And there is this save game. You can't see a save game here, so you just have to search in here save game, and the prefix will be SG and the name will be save game as well. The next one will be a macro library. You can see that there is this blueprint category and there is this blueprint macro library. Select the actor, rename it blueprint actor macro library or macro lib. Right. We have all the blueprints here. I'm going to save them all, and we will need a heads up display. So I'm going to create a new folder called UI and just create a widget blueprint. There's this user interface and there's this widget blueprint, and let's have this widget blueprint user interface here. The prefix will be W for widget, or WBP for widget blueprint, and it will be called as HUD or HUD or heads up display. Heads up display is the interface that you will see while you are playing your game. Right. Now we have our blueprint classes. Now let's go to our player controller. Let's go to our player controller and let's dock it here. I'm going to the event graph, and we have some variables to create. Right. You can add variables in here. You can see there is this variables category. I'm going to click on this plus icon, and the first one will be actual lap. So this will be an integer, select the type of the variable, and the second one will be max laps. This will be also an integer, and there are these third one, actual race time. This will be a float. You just don't want to duplicate this. You just add the next variable and it gets the previous variable type, and it just makes life easy. Actual lap time is the fourth one. The fifth one will be gold time. Next one will be silver time, bronze time, best lap time, best race time, default, best lap time, default, best race time. Right, we have bunch of variables. So these will have values. So we are going to compile this, and we will have this default values when we compile a variable. And I'm going to add the default value for actual lap is 1, maximum laps will be 3, others will don't need any default values at the moment. And there's this category option, there's this default category, and I'm going to select here and type value variables, and then let's add the category for all other variables here that we have created, or we can just select uh, one by one and drag and drop here like this. You can't select all the variables and drag and drop one by one. Right, now we can collapse this, and you can see there are our value variables. Now we are going to create text variables. Race time text. This will be a text category. Next one is current lap time. Current lap text. Max lap text. Gold time text. Silver time text. So this will be a kind of boring procedure. Bronze time text. Best time text. Best lap text. Uh, Map name text. Ready text. And the category will be text variables. Let's just drag and drop into here. Right. Now we need another 4 variables. The first one will be race completed. It will be a boolean, and race start. I always add the question mark for boolean because it has 2 states, truth or false. So or there is always a question if that is true or false. That's why I add question mark. Respawn location. This will be a transform type, and then save slot. This will be a string. Now we have all our variables. Compile, save, and save all. I don't want okay, what is this game? Vehicles off-road. We don't have these. We don't have this vehicles folder, but yeah, let's see. Right. Then there's this event dispatcher section. I'm going to create a new event dispatcher on race has started. And there will be functions. There's this function category. First function will be init text. Init means initiate. Save game check. Save the game. Load the game. Lap time check. Race time check. Update goals. Right. And we need, in the event graph, you can see that there are a bunch of new viewports or event graphs to the functions that we have added. We are going to close this all. Right. We have 2 event graphs. I can close one and delete these 2. In the event graph, we are going to create 7 custom events. Right click, add custom event, call this as restart. We can search custom event, or just we can control and paste. Control paste. We have 4, 5, 6 and 7. Right. The second one will be update lap. The third one will be respawn vehicle. Right. The fourth one will be start race time. The next one will be start lap time, and the next one, stop race time, stop lap time. So these are the 7, and you can see that we have a warning here. You just compile it and the warning will be gone. Right. And another thing to do, we just need an event begin play, event begin play, and we are going to get a reference from our user interface widget, or the, if you can see, we have this heads up display. So we need to get this heads up display into this player controller. We are going to do that by, there's this node called create widget. Now you are calling a widget class, and this class you can see that we have widget blueprint HUD, right? And then promote this to variable and rename this variable as HUD. That gives us a variable as a reference. Then if we want our heads up display reference for any of these codes, I can get this from here as a reference. We don't need to call it every time and get the HUD. And we need to add it to viewport, and then I'm going to just give some comments. Create or call HUD widget blueprint and create a reference, right? We have this thing, and we can give it a color. Let's have this kind of color, and then add HUD to the view port, right? And we can save this color here and get this to here, right? And then we need a reference to our player controller or the player pawn as well. This is our player controller and we need our player pawn. Now we are going to this color and call it as HUD widget blueprint prep work. I'm going to call our vehicle blueprint. So we get this create widget blueprint or create widget node for calling a widget. Like that, we need a casting to call a vehicle blueprint or a player blueprint, player controller, not a player controller, pawn blueprint. you can see that if you go to blueprints, vehicles, dustbowler, and this will be a wheeled vehicle pawn, the parent class. So we cast to wheeled vehicle pawn, and then as wheeled vehicle pawn we get this to a reference like we did in the UI, and then rename it as vehicle reference. We call this as HUD reference, right? We call this, and since this is a pawn, we can get player pawn. So this is the pawn, right? Okay, we have this comment box. You can get a comment box by pressing C on your keyboard, and you will see a comment box around the selected nodes. And let's say vehicle blueprint prep work. It always called when the event begins. And I'm going to assign a color like this, right? We are going to add uh, we'll delete this for the moment and set this as call chaos vehicle and create a ref vehicle blueprint and create a ref, right? Then we can assign this color and add this into another comment box. Select these two and press Q to align. Q to align. Right. Assign the same color. Chaos vehicle blueprint prep work. Right. Now we have this reference and we have about 7 custom events and we have many variables. Let's just give these a category called reference. To reference. Now we have 2 references, bunch of text variables, value variables, bunch of functions, right? And one event dispatcher. And then we are going to make our checkpoint. Now I'm going to close this, go to blueprint, go to core, game modes, time trial. Now we are going to open up this checkpoint blueprint, add component. We are going to add the scene component. This will be the scene, and you can see that a scene component is a component that has a scene transform and can be attached to other scene components. So we are going to drag and drop into here and replace default scene root, and this is our scene. I'm going to rename it as our root, and then select the root, go to add component and add an arrow. This arrow represents that which is the way that we should pass the checkpoint. And then we should have a box collision. This will be the trigger for the checkpoint area. Now I'm going to select the trigger and give it a scale of, let's have 6.5 and 6.5, like this. If we go to the left view, you can lift up like here, compile, save, and select the trigger. You can search in details panel this hidden in game option and untick, because since we don't have any mesh to support this checkpoint for now, we are going to enable the view in our game for the trigger box. And if I go to here and add our blueprint, you can see that this is our blueprint. Now I'm going to move it here, and I can give some scale to it. Let's go for 25. 25 looks like that. I'm going to do a 30. Yes, 30 will be fine. I'm going to add a 35. Right, 35 will be work. And for the height, I'm going to give about 20. Right, 20. And now you can see that this is our checkpoint. You can grab the arrow component and keep it like here, and let's have some, let's lock the scale and give it like 10, like this, or will it, 5 will be fine. If you can see that we have our arrow, right. You can also select that arrow and start hidden in game, untick. If you play now, you can see that there is our checkpoint. Now we can go through our checkpoint like that, right? Let's switch to perspective view. This is our checkpoint now, right? I'm going to the event graph. We will need some variables here. I'm going to create a variable called checkpoint number, and this will be a integer. If you compile it and close this here, this is our integer variable, and for this I select an array. If you select array instead of a single value, you can get many elements here, just not a single value. And we are going to get rid of this default events, and then we will need an event dispatcher called checkpoint cleared, and I'll use on checkpoint cleared, compile it, and for this event dispatcher there is this input section. Click on this plus icon and click a new import. Next, checkpoint, and this will be a integer, right? Now we are going to select our trigger, and you can see that there are a number of events that we can use for a collision box or a trigger box. There's this on component begin overlap and on component end overlap events. I'm going to choose this end overlap event. We want to trigger, or the checkpoint should be cleared when the vehicle ends its overlap with the trigger. Therefore, I'm going to click this on component end overlap event, and this will give me a on component end overlap node in the event graph. The other actor will be our car. So we need to call our car. To do that, I have to cast to our wheeled vehicle mode. When this happens, I'm going to test it out. Print string checkpoint crossed. So I'm going to check if our vehicle is going to end overlap this trigger. This print string node prints this checkpoint cross message when this happens. So I can compile it and play. Let's see if it's work. Begin, end, and checkpoint has crossed. Let's go again. We cross the checkpoint. Right, now it works. Then I should set up some constraints. The only direction the vehicle should be driven in this direction, as in the arrow, to complete the checkpoint. To do that, we will need a branch node. Branch node always have a condition. So what will be the condition that we want? We are going to get the velocity of our vehicle, and then we get our arrow. We should get world rotation, and we should get this x component of the rotation, get x rotation vector, and we need a dot product of this, and we can hold control and move it here, right? This is dot product, and greater than 0. If the result from the dot product is greater than 0, we get true or false. If it's greater than 0, we get truth. If this is less than 0, we get false. Now we check this. Now I'm going to keep adding these nodes and later give the comments. If this happens and if the dot product is positive, that means the both vehicle and the vehicle speed and the arrow direction are in the same direction. If this is true, checkpoint should be cleared. Checkpoint should be cleared, and the next checkpoint will be I have done a mistake. This should be a single value, and this is going here, the next checkpoint number, and this checkpoint number should be instant editable, right? So now I'm going to add comments, and you will understand what's going here. From this component or this node, determines when an actor ends overlap with the trigger volume. So this component gives an output when the other actor ends overlap with the trigger volume, and then call our vehicle as the other actor which ends the overlap. That means we say that if our wheel vehicle pawn completes the overlap end, give us a message. That's why when we add a print string node, it gave us a message that checkpoint cleared. And then we have to ensure that the vehicle velocity is same as the rotation of the arrow when the trigger ends. Therefore, we can get these three nodes and say get the world rotation, or let's say world get the direction of the arrow component in the world. World means this map space. So this will give us the direction of the arrow component in the world, and then this gets the velocity direction of the vehicle in the world. Right. So we get the velocity direction of the vehicle in the world, and then direction of the arrow component in the world. And by getting a dot product, I can add a comment here. A dot product between any two vectors gives a positive or a negative value. And if positive two vectors are in the same direction, if negative two vectors are not in the same direction. That's the logic for getting the dot product. So we get this dot product, and then determine if the value of the dot product between two vectors is greater than 0, right? Let's resize the comment box like here and keep this here, and then get a comment here and say that check or output true if the value is greater than 0, and let's just copy and shift enter to skip lines. Output false if the value is less than 0. So this is what the branch node do, and then call on checkpoint cleared event dispatcher if the checkpoint is cleared. This means checkpoint has cleared and this means checkpoint has not cleared. And I think you can now get what this is. Cleared and if cleared, get the next checkpoint number. This is the next checkpoint number. Right. Queue. Right. And then I'm going to select these all. Add a comment. Check arrow and check arrow direction and vehicle velocity to determine if the vehicle is clear the check point. This is what we are doing in this whole thing, and this will be another part, and after that we want to hide the checkpoint. Now let's test this one, and let's have a print string here. Checkpoint cleared, and I can have another print string here and say checkpoint passed. This gives a checkpoint passed, and this is checkpoint cleared. We will give a green color to this, right? And now if we compile and check, now we are going to our checkpoint, right? Checkpoint cleared and checkpoint passed. If we go from here, only checkpoint passed, but checkpoint doesn't get cleared. I think you get the idea. And if you reverse, it gives as a pass. If you reverse again from the wrong side, checkpoint passed but not clear. I think now the function is working. Now we have to clear or remove our checkpoint once it has passed. Now we are going to get this trigger volume and set hidden in game height. Now we are going to do this all when the checkpoint is cleared. Hide in game, and also we have this generate overlap events. That means this should be unticked. That means you can copy paste and connect here like this. This means trigger will not generate any overlap events after it is cleared, right? There will be no overlap events. This is the overlap event, and this will be not working after this has cleared. Also, hide the checkpoint when or after the checkpoint is cleared, right? So now if the checkpoint is cleared, we are going to show this message checkpoint cleared, and we get the next checkpoint number and hide the trigger volume and avoid generating overlap events from the trigger volume. if we go through this checkpoint once, it should disappear and we should not be able to go again. Now the arrow function is here. That is because we don't remove the checkpoint from the location, we just hide the trigger volume and stops generating overlap events. Right. Now this works and I think you get clear idea, and these are debugs to check if our code is working properly. For those, I'm going to apply a red color and debug. And this is called also as debug, and it will have this red color. And we can give a comment for these. Do if the do these if only the checkpoint is cleared. So we are going to do this stuff when the checkpoint is cleared. So we can get it here. Right. Now we have our checkpoint function here. Next, we are going to uh, create the checkpoint tracker, and this will be a blueprint actor. So if you have any map, we are going to drag and drop into the map and detect which are the checkpoints that we have on the map, and it performs the game mode for us. So I think we can wrap it now for this tutorial and get back into this next tutorial and continue with the our game mode thing.